This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm bringing you a brand new company, and I'll tell you what, you better take a look at this company because this company's about ready to blow up. We're talking about QPAGOS. You can find them on the OTCQB. They trade on the ticker symbol QPAG. Very undervalued here, about 1.5 cents. With us today is the chairman of the company, Mr. Gaston Pereira. Gaston, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ev. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I know you're going to give us a forward statement, but if we can, we'll do that at the end of the show. Fair enough?
Will do, yes.
You know, I was looking at your numbers. Your company came on my radar about 3 months ago, and I was thinking, wow, 2.6 million is what you did in 2016, 3.9 million is what you did in 2017. Then all of a sudden, in 2018, you blew up to almost 8 million, to be exact, 7.9. That being said, what are the business drivers that's making this go so well in Mexico? And if you could address the market down there.
Yes, I have two main things. First of all, is technology, and second, the uniqueness of the Mexican market. When I say technology, we're really in the middle of this financial services and financial technology revolution. We have a very robust electronic payments platform in Mexico. We have hundreds of services in this platform, and we really put together service providers and their consumers to allow them to make payments through multiple devices. You know, mobile applications, electronic wallets, and eventually, and also obviously, self-service kiosks. And then about the market is very unique. We have a very large, 120 million people, $1.1 trillion GDP economy, very vibrant. And there is one key element. There is a digital divide in the fact that over 60% of the people in Mexico are unbanked, the adults, and about 90% of the payments done, the personal payments are done in cash. So people are making lines in 7-Elevens, in Walmarts to make their frequent payments. So we are right there trying to bridge that gap and have a solution that we can talk a little bit further when we go on with the interview, Ev.
The 7.9, most of that came from your wholesale business that grew the most. Why that?
Well, the wholesale business allowed us to really get very preferential commissions because the biggest question is how does QPAGOS make money in Mexico? It makes money in the commissions we get from mobile operators, which averages about 8.5%. The fees that consumers may pay in certain payments for each transaction, in the sale of self-service kiosk, and in software development for several of these people, and transaction costs. So this is a menu of our revenues. So as we started growing, the wholesale market became very attractive because we have a very robust platform. We developed good relationship with the service providers, and we were able to really arbitrage this huge market of mobile payments. The prepayment of mobile telephony. Mexico has about 110 million phones. 85% of those phones are prepaid. That means people have to pay as you go. So they're always looking where to make a payment of $2, $3, $4 into their mobile accounts. So that took us and really absorbed us into this tremendous growth. But we are really a company that really has nifty solutions for beyond just the wholesale business. So that's our growth prospects this year, really on complementing the growth there in the wholesale with other verticals that we'll talk a little bit about.
You know, I still want to try to wrap my mind around that you did say 60% of all adults that live in Mexico, which is around 120 million people, period, 60% of them do not have a bank account. Did I hear that correct?
That is correct.
Why?
Well, that's a very important question because you may think that it's a chronic thing. It is because banks don't accept these people. But, it is idiosyncratic. It is many times voluntary. People traditionally in Mexico for years haven't trusted the banking system. They don't trust the credit cards, they don't trust the potential commissions, they don't trust potential identity theft, etc., etc. So They rather live in the cash economy. For example, there are over 40 million, payroll cards in Mexico that the companies give you a debit card. They deplete 100% of that card on payroll days. So on the 15th or the 30th or 31st of every month, you have lines, 100-meter lines, people taking money out of ATMs. They just live in the cash world. So it is idiosyncrasy. And obviously, you can imagine in a country that has so much mobile phones and smartphones, people cannot complete an electronic transaction today because they don't have a bank account to match, to connect to that mobile app. So there is a disconnect there that we are trying to address personally.
Well, one thing that really came on my radar and my monitor that I was really impressed, revenues went up 100% from 2017 to 2018, from 3.9 million to 7.9 million. I think you need to stand up and take a bow. That's one thing. Second thing,
Thank you.
How about expansion? What are our expansion plans beyond Mexico? Where do we go from here?
Look, if you look a little bit into our press releases last year, back in last summer, we made an important press release that we were expanding into the United States with a joint venture with a NASDAQ company. Unfortunately, the joint venture, the NASDAQ company had other priorities and didn't go through. But we worked like crazy in trying to put together that joint venture because we were the technology partner, we were the commercial partner, we were really the know-how. They were just funding us because they felt it fit in their portfolio. But why the United States? Very important question. Because that same idiosyncrasy of the Mexican American in Mexico and the Mexican American in the United States is cash. You have money transfers, U.S. to Latin America, about $65 billion in 2018. $32 billion alone to Mexico. That's a lot of money that is coming. That's almost about $2.5 billion a month, U.S. to Mexico. And 70% of that is also cash to cash. So you say, wow, that means this Mexican American that is in the United States also lives in the cash flow. They do. So we feel that the use of kiosk will be a very interesting opportunity for a lot of Hispanics and Mexican Americans sending money home. So that's a reason of our expansion into the United States. Eventually, this is a forward-looking statement. We're working. We were left at the altar of that joint venture, but I think that we can fund it, and we're looking forward to do a trial very soon.
Gaston, let me ask you this. You brought up a key word that I really wanted to talk to you about. Kiosks. First of all, how big are they? Is it a big outlay for you? And what exactly do these kiosks do?
Look, we're very proud of these self-service kiosks. Very proud because it's so technology advanced. It has a touch screen, about 19-inch diagonal touch screen that is very intuitive, very large icons, color, Windows-based. It is so easy for the consumer to understand and touch the icons that they choose, and they can start the transaction either by touching whatever company they want to pay, or by using a barcode. They can actually do the barcode on the particular invoice or whatever transaction they want to initiate, and the machine accepts cash and coins. It issues a receipt immediately. Plus it is also a security box. It is very, very efficient. It has maybe a 9 square foot footprint, 3 feet by 3 feet. It's about 6 feet tall with a second screen that can provide advertising. It can connect via Wi-Fi, via LAN, or via mobile data. So it's a very, very interesting opportunity. It is really a cost-saving element. In Mexico, we have it in banks, we have it in pharmacies, we have it in governments that really want to accelerate the collections. A lot of these locations don't accept cash, so our kiosk really becomes a go-between by completing a transaction you want to do in a commercial bank or a government office. You go to the kiosk and then you go back to the line or whatever. So the kiosk for us is a a very important complement here in this particular market in Mexico, and we believe also for unique demographics in the United States. It's going to be very easy to do a cash-to-cash transaction through our kiosk in the United States.
Regarding your recent filed 10K for 2018, what can you tell us about that?
Look, we're very proud on the revenue side, on the growth. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, the wholesale business, as we grow it, it is not very profitable, so it didn't provide the working capital needs that we were forecasting. One particular huge transaction that we have in the pipeline with a commercial bank was postponed to 2019. So the profitability of 2019 wasn't up to our expectations, but we're showing that we have the ability of scaling in this very interesting market. And then on the other hand, on the financial side, we use financial instruments that were very expensive, which also penalized our P&L. So I'm not proud of that, but it's allowing us, and we have a lot of people that trust us and they have confidence in us. So we've been getting the right financing, but hopefully during 2019 we can change the financial instruments that can be more long-term and less costly for the company.
For your investors and my listeners, in closing here, what do you want them to take away from this interview?
Well, most important that we are the real thing. We're a company that is really working hard to grow in this particular market, that we have a very robust technology, and that we look at the bigger picture. It's not only growing in Mexico, but also growing into the United States. So we are in the right business at the right moment, and I think that we're going to be showing interesting performance going forward.
And would you like to give your forward statement?
Yes, thank you. So it is, please note that we may make forward-looking statements during today's call. These forward-looking statements are based on expectations and assumptions as of today and are subject to a number of risks and uncertainties, many of which are difficult to predict that could cause actual results to differ materially from current expectations and assumptions from those set forth or implied by any forward-looking statements. Important factors that could cause actual results to differ materially from current expectations include, among others, our ability to position QPAGOS in Mexico's expanding electronic payment sector and continue to incorporate the leading service providers in the country in our payment gateway and other risks outlined in our filings with the SEC.
My guest today is Gaston Pereira. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I hope you become a regular on the show. Come back every 40 or 50 days. If you want to know more about the company, go ahead and go to their website, www.QPAGOS.com. You can find them on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol QPAG. And I want to thank you for your time, Gaston.
Yves, great. Wonderful. Nice meeting you today.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or this station.